This chart compares a staggering $2 million retirement goal against a much smaller $500,000 baseline. If you ask the average person what it takes to stop working, they usually aim for that massive number, sometimes even $5 million. That target is so daunting that most people look at it, realize they aren't even close, and just accept their fate. They resign themselves to the treadmill of working until they are physically unable to. We have been conditioned to picture financial success as a collection of high-end objects, designer clothes, sprawling mansions, and exotic sports cars. But the math reveals a different reality. Real wealth is waking up on a Tuesday without an alarm clock, knowing you have complete control over how you spend your day. When you mistake material luxury for wealth, you lock yourself into a cycle, where every promotion or pay bump is immediately swallowed by an expensive new habit. The math of escaping that cycle gets uncomfortable quickly. The absolute highest hurdle between you and financial independence isn't your salary, it is your outflow. This timeline maps a 40-year working life. Over 4 decades, the average person spends roughly $600,000 just on cars. That is more capital than you need to fund a passive baseline of $500,000. Millions of people actively redirect small fortunes into machines that lose value every single month, while simultaneously believing they cannot afford to build a retirement fund. You are voluntarily financing short-term comfort by trading away decades of your own autonomy. Breaking out of that trap requires completely rewriting your financial operating system. You have to stop acting like a consumer and start operating like an investor. This flowchart illustrates the standard consumer cycle. You trade your hours for a paycheck. You exchange that paycheck for objects or experiences, and the capital vanishes. You are back at zero. An investor views that same paycheck as raw material. They deploy it into a central system designed for one specific purpose: to automatically generate even more capital. Consumers drain their accounts to maintain a lifestyle, while investors build a permanent, autonomous machine that funds their lifestyle for them. To see exactly how that machine works, we apply a specific mathematical metric known as the 8.5% rule. This diagram represents our required starting point. We build a central, diversified mix of stocks and bonds totaling exactly $500,000. Historically, a portfolio like this can reliably generate an average annual return of about 8.5% over the long term. That growth rate on $500,000 yields $42,500 in passive returns every single year. Break that down, and it translates to roughly $3,500 of incoming capital every month, without you lifting a finger. But the system only works if you follow the absolute strictest rule of the engine. The original $500,000 is permanently locked. You are only living on the returns. You do not need a multi-million-dollar hoard to exit the workforce. You just need a concentrated base large enough to spit out your basic living expenses. This scale balances that $42,500 in passive returns against standard living expenses. For many people, that exact amount is enough to completely cover a baseline of rent, groceries, and utilities. Once those essential costs are covered by autonomous returns, the mathematical requirement to trade your daily labor for survival is gone. This strategy prioritizes freedom from financial panic over the pursuit of private jets or extreme luxury. You are constructing a financial entity that operates entirely independent of your physical labor, and one that will ultimately outlast you. If the idea of living on $42,000 a year sounds impossible, the math isn't the problem. The failure is a heavily bloated lifestyle. That bloat is lifestyle inflation. It's the almost invisible habit of expanding your expenses and upgrading your standards every single time your income ticks upward. To maintain that $500,000 foundation, you have to build absolute immunity to the societal pressure to constantly buy nicer things. Cutting an unused subscription or skipping a car upgrade shouldn't feel like deprivation. Every dollar you cut is a literal, tangible purchase of your own future time. When you achieve that baseline, the daily desperation of surviving in a miserable 9-to-5 job evaporates. Constructing this engine provides the capital required to buy back the single most valuable resource you possess: your life.